All right, now that we have my background set, let's just start right now with something new. I am going to go to my computer and I'm going to find an image that I will like to cut out. So I'm going to create a silhouette. So let's perhaps take my friend Namali. She's a nice girl, and this is a photo I took before we did a photography job for a bar mitzvah, and I was just testing my camera. So I'm going to create a profile page using this image. My job here is going to be to cut out my friend Namali from this background so that it's clean, just her. I want to have just a silhouette of her. So now that the image is opened, I'm going to go to this tool, which is the magic wand tool, and I'm going to select it. What this does is it's a magic wand and it selects an area. So now that you see that I've clicked, it's going to select all the white pixels with a certain tolerance. So it's going to select right now every pixel with a tolerance of 32 shades up or down of white, so a little bit gray. Let's say I just really minimize this to 3 shades. You're going to see when I pick now, the area is far less broad. It's only selecting 3 shades of whatever I have my magic wand selected on. So if I select like a black shade, it's going to select 3 shades of black up or down of that person. So I want to select all the white. So right now if I keep it to 3, that's probably not going to work. So I'm going to increase it to 30. Looked pretty good. So now that it's 30 and that's under tolerance, I'm going to select all the white. You're going to see up here there's a little missing corner. If I hold shift and click on it, it's going to select that corner. I'm going to hold shift. Shift is basically just adding. It's saying I can add more. And you can see right here, once I hold shift, it's selecting the second box up here, which is add to selection. Here I could subtract an area. So let's say I wanted to subtract possibly this little gray. I could select that object and subtract area, and it's just going to subtract 30 pixels of gray from that little area. And the last one is intersect with selection, which is just going to find the areas where the white is intersecting with those shades. So it removed what I selected up here because these shades were farther than 30 pixels off. So I guess it would be a way of undoing this from a certain point of view. The reasons why you might want to intersect is if it's selecting too much, or if you, for more challenging cuts, that might happen. So I'm just going to hold shift, reselect that corner, hold shift, reselect this corner, and you're going to see that I now have a little bit better of a selected cutout of my friend Namali. So if I want to see, it's kind of hard sometimes with this little double dotted line, which is my selection tool. If I want to see, we have right here what is called edit in quick mask mode, and this just gives me a little bit better of a preview to show me what is selected. So this can be very useful, so pay attention to it. So I'm going to click on it, and it's going to show me where it's still, I guess, kind of like the hot spot for Namali. So in this case, I'm going to zoom in, and you're going to see that this area is not close enough to her head. So there's a couple ways that I can refine that. So I'm going to refine it manually first, and I'll show you guys how. I'm going to select my pencil tool here, right here, my pencil tool. And once it's selected, it's going to show me my the brush size. So right here I can change the amount of size that my brush is. So now you can see it's 64 pixels round compared to if I increase it, now it's 140 pixels round. So right here, whatever color is the top is the color that my pencil is going to draw on. Since we're in quick mask mode, black basically means remove, and white means add. Right here, if I hit this little arrow, I can change between white and black. Example, if it's black, it's going to add quick mask mode. So when I go back, you're going to see that this has been removed. So if I was to cut from Namali, you're going to see that that area still remains, but all the other white is removed. And you would just go edit, cut, or quick key Control X, like I just did, cut. It's going to cut. So basically what the quick mask is doing is it's offering me an area to select so that I can remove it, so I can cut it out. So I'm just going to go back into quick mask mode, and white does the opposite. It kind of allows you to fill in shapes. So these chairs, I'm not going to want to have them. I want to cut them out of this image so that Namali is just perfectly cut out, not like a perfect silhouette. I don't want any backgrounds. So for the hair, I can go up real close. So in this case, you can see I can get really close, but I'm still kind of removing some of her hair. So I'm going to go Control Alt Z, and I'm just going to keep that for now, and I'll show you guys why. So I cut the chairs out right here. I'm going to want to cut this area out. My selection tool just wasn't able to select it because it was too gray. It didn't fit my tolerance. Right here, I'm going to minimize the size of my pencil, and I did that by doing squiggly bracket. The squiggly brackets are, I'll just show you. Squiggly brackets are, let's see what happens when I go, how do you write squiggly? Squiggly brackets. I think that's the right word. These are squiggly brackets. I can't believe that came up. So if I use those squiggly brackets, it's going to increase and decrease the radius of my pencil tool. That's a really good quick key for sure. I use it all the time. So I can just remove this area. If I wanted to be perfect, I could shrink or grow my squiggly brackets. That's so awesome. So I cut that out. Now if I go back to if I get out of quick mask mode, you're going to see that my mask is even more refined. So if I go edit cut, it's going to cut this graphic, but it's going to keep a white background, which is not ideal. And this is only happening because my layer is locked. If you want to unlock a layer, just double click on it. It's going to say, do I want to treat this as a new layer? Okay. You can see my lock is gone. So now when I cut, it's transparent. It's not white anymore. So that's very handy. Make sure that your layer is unlocked. You just have to double click. Sometimes you have to alt click on it if it's a gift, or if sometimes you're going to have to alt click to unlock layers. Okay, so I just cut out Namali, but the hair is not really good. And I'll show you guys a trick of targeting the hair. So I'm going to go back to my magic wand tool, and I'm going to select everything. It's going to select what I just cut, which is really nice. But now I want to go to select inverse, because now I want to target not the outside of the selection, the inside. So if I go select inverse, now it's selected Namali. So if I was to cut, it would cut her out. But I don't want to do that. I want to do what is called right here refining edges, which is really important. So if I go refining edges, it's going to bring up a window panel that gives me a lot more options to play with this mask. And this is a big feature in Photoshop, and it's really important. Like, people cut stuff out a lot for compositing and for creating nice images, nice graphics, all sorts of reasons. So let's look at the refining edge panel. First off, I could zoom in. Right here, I have different views. So I could view my quick mask mode, which we are familiar with. So if we ever see this reddish tint, that's quick mask mode. I could just view my default. I could view it on black, which might be really helpful in this case. I could view it on white. I can view just the outline. Sometimes this comes in handy with crazy graphics. So a whole bunch of different options of how I could view this. I'm going to do on black right now because it seems to be giving me the most contrast. So now I can refine the edges a little bit and play with these settings. These settings offer, right now I'm smoothing the mask, so you can see it just kind of, instead of being really pixelated here, it just smooths it. I could feather, which is really cool. Feather creates like a, I want to say like a surrounding transparency, so it blends in with the background. Things are feathered a lot in movies. Like in The Matrix, every single shot with Neo was feathered. If it wasn't feathered, it would look too fake. You would clearly see that he was placed on top of the backgrounds. Now that I added a feather, he kind of blends into the background. We naturally kind of capture light from the background in terms of 3D space or in terms of shading or lighting. So feather's a really big one, really important. You never want to feather too much, but a decent feather. Right here, contrast. It's just going to do the opposite of feather. So it's going to like make my line super tight. And here's shift edge. So I can shift the edge inward. I can shift the edge outward. So in this case, let's go inward. I probably want a feather. So this one's tough with Namali with the hair. There's a little bit better of a way to target this. So I'm going to hit cancel. Even though we learned a little bit about refining our edge, I'm actually going to feather it. You can almost always count on a feather to help. And I'm just going to shift my edge in a little bit. So that's a little better. So I have a feather on her, but I still need to remove this gray. So I'm going to show you guys another trick. So I'm just going to hit OK. It's going to return me to my screen without the refined edges. I'm going to just go edit, copy, edit, paste, so that I have a new version in Namali. I'm just going to hide this layer by clicking on the eye, which means it's not visible. So if I select the eye, it means it's exactly that. It's not visible. I'm just going to add a new layer. So right here, right next to the garbage, create a new layer. This icon is the same throughout all Adobe software. So if I ever see this, it means new layer, new composition, new artboard, yada yada. It means new swatch, new whatever my panel is about. So I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm just going to go edit, and I'm going to edit, fill, and I'm just going to fill it with a black solid so that I have kind of what the refined edge showed me. Actually, I'm going to fill it properly. I'm going to fill it actually with a gray. I'm just going to go 50% gray, which still gives me a decent preview. So if I zoom in now to my friend, sorry Namali, I hope you never see this. So I have the ability here to select with the quick selection tool. I have to make sure my the correct layer is selected. I have the ability to select with my magic wand tool, similar things. So this tolerance is too big because watch, if I was to cut it, Control X, it's okay in a sense, but let's say we're really perfect. We're working for Maybelline. I want to keep all this hair. So my tolerance is a little high. So I'm going to bring my tolerance down to 10 and let's see what happens. So I'm just going to go select, deselect. Control D is quick key. And you're going to see now it selects a little less. I can hold shift and select, keep on selecting, which is a little tedious. I'm just going to go Control D. Or I could go right here to contiguous. This means to select all the gray pixels that have a 10 shade tolerance up or down in the whole image. So you see right here I select it. It doesn't select the gray in the eyes because it only selects until like when you drop water, it only selects within that area. It follows till it reaches a shade that is 10 pixels above or below the initial shade that I selected and stops. If I hit contiguous, I deselect it, you're going to see it selects all the gray shades around within the whole image. Like if I select the eyes, it selects it even over here. So basically it's treating the image as a whole rather than just a certain section. So in this case, this is beautiful for me. And then now if well, in this case, it's good and bad because it's selecting the eyes. So if I want to unselect the eyes, I can just go to Quick Mask, go to my pencil tool, and since white is remove, I will switch to black. And I would just re-add that area so that I don't cut the eyes out, right? And I don't want to cut the earring out, but I want to cut all the hair out. So now if I go back to the normal mode, not the quick mask, and go Control X, yeah, it's kind of dirty. I need to select some of these colors. Let's go now Control X. Still kind of dirty. Control Z, I'll select these colors too. And we can now do the refine edges again and kind of treat. So in this case, this is hard. So I'm going to show you guys another way, because if I go Control X, it's just cutting out all the hair. Here I have a little bit more detail. Here I have a bit more detail. It's still pretty good. Like there's not going to be 100% like every single hair. Like I won't be able to get all these. But there's one more kind of trick I want to show you guys. So I'm going to go select, deselect, and I'm going to go here to the eraser tool. So I have the eraser tool, which I can just erase parts of Namali, pretty self-explanatory. And I can do here, erase background. So background eraser. And what it does is it just selects the color that I have. It's going to erase the background with a certain tolerance, just like we have for the quick mask tool. So I'm going to bring the tolerance right down. And with the squiggly brackets, I'm going to... So now you can see I can kind of erase a little bit more around my hair. Not pretty, but or not perfect, but it offers the example. Because when I zoom out, that's pretty good. Namali's cut out. If I get rid of the background, oh, I forgot about her eye. It's totally creepy. Just a little trick for you guys. So if I removed her eye and I don't want to Control Z because it's way too behind, I can just open back up my original image right here, the background image. And I would just draw a marquee box around her eyes. So right here, this is your marquee tool. You can draw ellipses, you can draw single rows or columns. So I would just draw a box around her eyes, go edit, copy, edit, paste. So basically now I just have a cutout of her eyes. I would open back up this layer that I messed up her eyes in. and I would just drag that layer above, and you can see now I would have it placed perfectly. So now you can see Namali's eyes are back to normal. I used a little trick there, but this is exactly what Photoshop is best for, is photo manipulation. But if I go select all and I go edit, copy merged, or control shift C, and then I go paste, it's going to copy and paste all the layers. It's going to merge the layers. Because sometimes you're going to have a graphic, just like in this case, that has two elements, right? It has the eyes and Namali. So if I go select all and I just hit copy paste, it's only going to copy and paste what's on that layer. Sometimes you're wanting to just do that, right? In this case, when I copied her eyes, I just wanted to copy and paste the eyes on that layer. So once I have a complete silhouette of Namali, and just another quick key, if I hold control and I select the thumbnail and the layers, it's going to marquee just that layer. And then I can go edit, copy merged. And then I'm going to go back to my canvas for Polaroid, and I'm going to go edit, paste. And I just pasted Namali. I'm going to shrink her down using the free transform tool, which is edit, free transform, or control T. And I can just shrink Namali down for the start of what is going to be my profile page. If I want the height and width to stay the same, like let's say I went like that, Namali's not that chubby. If I hit this link button, it's going to link the two to my original proportions. So it's going to keep everything 100%. So when I shrink and grow now, Namali's not going to be bloated, because she would be very mad at me.